All right, we're going to dive into one of the most important but least understood commodities on the entire planet, natural gas. It's completely invisible, but the global power struggle over it, well, it's more intense than ever. So let's get right into it. Okay, let's just start with a fact that is, honestly, it's kind of mind-blowing. If you take the entire global market for cars and you add the entire global market for gold, the market for natural gas is still bigger. Yeah, bigger than both of them combined.
So, how is that even possible? How did this invisible gas become such a massive global titan? Let's break it down.
You see, natural gas isn't just a line item on your utility bill. It's it's really the lifeblood of the modern world. It's what's powering our industries, generating so much of our electricity, and literally keeping the lights on for billions of people. So why gas? Why did it become such a powerhouse? Well, for a few really big reasons. For one, it burns a lot cleaner than coal and oil. It's an incredibly reliable source for electricity and industry, and it heats about half of all homes in the US and Europe. Out of the big three fossil fuels, that's coal, oil, and gas, it's been the fastest growing one for the last 50 years. It's a huge part of the 80% of world energy that those three supply. But here's the catch. For decades, natural gas had this massive Achilles heel. It was just a nightmare to move around. I mean, you can't just stick it in a barrel and put it on a boat like you can with oil. This one simple fact led to a world completely dominated by these gigantic, multi-billion-dollar pipelines. And those pipelines forged some very rigid, almost unchangeable relationships between countries. And the prime example of this, the textbook case really, was the connection between Russia and Europe. This whole thing kicked off back in the 70s with what they called the deal of the century. The Soviet Union would send gas, and West Germany would send the high-tech pipes to carry it. They basically locked themselves together. And even in the 80s, when the US was strongly against it, Europe just kept building more pipelines. They prioritized cheap energy. Fast forward to the 2000s, new lines like Nord Stream just deepened that connection. Until by 2021, a staggering 40% of all of Europe's gas was coming from Russia. Think about that for a second. In the middle of the Cold War, you had communists and capitalists making a perfect deal over gas. Why? Because it was just too good for either side to refuse. That mutual need for cheap energy on one side and cash on the other was powerful enough to bridge that massive ideological divide. It was a classic geopolitical marriage of convenience. But then, a technological breakthrough came along and completely shattered that old world of pipelines. It basically changed all the rules of the game, forever. This was a way to finally set natural gas free. And that game changer has a name: liquefied natural gas, or LNG as you'll hear it called. Now, the idea is pretty simple, but the technology behind it is an absolute marvel. You take natural gas, you supercool it until it turns into a liquid, and then you can ship it anywhere in the world on a tanker, just like oil. And when I say super cool, I mean really cold. We're talking negative 162 degrees Celsius. To put that in perspective, that is colder than the surface of Mars. Just unbelievably cold. So what happens when you get it that cold? Well, the gas shrinks a lot. Its volume reduces by 600 times. That's kind of like squishing a whole hot air balloon down into the size of a beach ball. And that incredible density is what makes it possible to load onto these massive ships and send it across the ocean. Now, this amazing LNG technology got totally supercharged by the US shale revolution. Thanks to new drilling techniques, American gas production just exploded. It nearly doubled in just over a decade. And this completely flipped the script. The US went from being a potential buyer to becoming the world's top seller of natural gas. So all of this set the stage for a massive global confrontation. But it wasn't just a clash between countries. It was a clash between two completely different systems: the old, rigid world of pipelines against the new, flexible world of tankers. Okay, so think of it like this. The pipeline world, which was really Russia-centric, was all about stable, long-term contracts. Everything was predictable. The new LNG world, which is much more US-centric, is all about the spot market. Prices can swing wildly, and a tanker full of gas can literally change its destination in the middle of the ocean to go wherever the price is highest. So you get a ton of flexibility, but you also get a whole lot of volatility. And the result of this clash? Well, it's been a complete reshuffling of Europe's energy supply. Just look at the change. Russia used to be number one by a long shot. Now, Norway is at the top, and look who's jumped into the number two spot, the USA.
This isn't just a small change, it's a seismic shift in the balance of global energy power.
So it looks like Europe managed to escape its dependence on Russian pipelines, right? But does that really mean they've achieved true independence? Well, the answer, as you might guess, is a lot more complicated than that. And that leads us to the final, really crucial question we have to ask. By escaping one dependency, are we just creating a new one? Have we simply traded one supplier for another?
Because when you look closer, moving away from Russian gas has simply highlighted a bunch of other dependencies. You want a green transition. Okay, but that means a reliance on Chinese solar panels and wind turbines. The batteries for all those electric cars need rare earth metals, which are concentrated in just a handful of places. And here's the real kicker. Europe now finds itself needing Russian fertilizers to grow its food. And what do you think those fertilizers are made with? Yep, cheap Russian gas. The players change, the commodities change, but the fundamental dynamic of dependency, that seems to stick around.